This is WKYT This Morning.
Kentucky mornings start here on WKYT. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. I'm Andrea Walker.
I'm Bill Bryant. Good to have you along. It is Thursday, September 8th, and we have a lot going on this morning.
Now at 6, breaking news in Lexington, where a pregnant woman has died after an overnight shooting.
We'll have the details on that tragedy. Also, why state police are planning to close 2 lanes of I-75 in Madison County for hours today.
And why drinking the water in one Washington state town could have you seeing double.
All right, we'll have that and more, and we have changes to our weather that are arriving later today.
They're good and bad. I mean, we're going to get some storms out of this, but what actually comes after the storms actually looks really, really nice. Here's the look outside. Early this morning, we're at 71 degrees there in Frankfort. Things look pretty good in the capital city. London and Corbin coming in at 66. East Bernstadt, good morning to you guys. And Laurel County, all looks well early this morning. Lexington, Winchester, Nicholasville. Good morning to you. Things look fine. Now, by the afternoon, we're at 90 degrees. Today, during the daylight hours, there's a 10% chance of rain. Virtually everybody stays dry once again. It's off into the evening and night. We start to see some late storms in the forecast. That's what we're going to be talking about, and that is going to be the start of a big change. I'm going to get into that in just a few minutes.
Let's get you right up to the minute on the latest news. WKYT tracking a breaking news alert this morning. Lexington police are looking for the person who shot and killed a pregnant woman overnight.
Heartbreaking story. It happened around 11 o'clock last night on Winburn Drive. The victim's unborn child has also died. WKYT's Lauren Miner is live in Lexington with the very latest on this investigation.
It was late last night, Bill and Andrea, when police were called to the Matador North apartments. Now, outside of the complex, they found a pregnant woman suffering from a gunshot wound. That victim was taken to UK Hospital with life-threatening injuries, where she and the baby later died. That victim has been identified as 22-year-old Mariah Coleman of Lexington. Her baby's name was Jacoby. Police say Mariah may have been out walking with her dog during the time of the shooting.
It puts me on edge since I live out here that this happens and that it could be me one day walking up the street and my life could be gone there.
Other witnesses were interviewed, but there are no suspects at this time. Reporting live in Lexington, Lauren Miner, WKYT.
Also new this morning, a Lexington man is accused of spying on people in a public bathroom. Freddie Gillis is charged with video voyeurism. Lexington police say he used a camera phone to view people in a public bathroom in multiple locations. His arrest citation does not say where these incidents took place. Gillis will be arraigned this afternoon.
A major traffic alert to tell you about this morning. Police are about to close 2 lanes of I-75 in Madison County in the Richmond city limits. Our Michelle Chamberlain at our alert desk to explain why. Michelle?
For those who take the interstate, you'll need to know this morning as you plan your day. At 9 o'clock this morning, Kentucky State Police plan to close some lanes of southbound Interstate 75. It's part of an investigation into a deadly crash that happened last month. Police say 67-year-old David McDowell died August 28th when his motorcycle and a car collided in Madison County around mile marker 85. Police say both were trying to avoid a previous crash. Police say it was one of several crashes near that mile marker on that interstate that day. Now, as part of today's investigation, the 2 left lanes of I-75 South will be closed. It's between mile markers 84 and 85. So once again, at 9 o'clock this morning, the 2 left lanes of I-75 South will be closed between mile markers 84 and 85. Police say the closure should last less than 2 hours. Bill?
Michelle, thank you. And just for reference point, that is just south of the eastern bypass there in the city limits of Richmond. Soil contaminated with arsenic is now being removed from several properties in Montgomery County. The Department of Environmental Protection says 6 homes on Long Lane have high arsenic levels, in fact so high that it requires immediate remediation. The project is expected to take about 6 weeks. That is not sitting well with many who are impacted.
Even if they do what they promise, living here may be better, but the impact and the devastation that we've already went through, our mental anxieties, I don't think that's ever going to leave us.
The Montgomery County Health Department and the Department for Public Health was also on the scene. They've been taking toenail clippings from dozens of people living in the area, and they will use those to test for arsenic exposure.
A Kentucky man accused of helping to hack a website to draw attention to an Ohio high school rape case is scheduled for trial in November. Derek Lawstutter goes by KY Anonymous online. He's charged with conspiring to gain illegal access to an online account and making false statements. Investigators say he threatened to release personal information on players and coaches. A Lexington homeowner says his surveillance camera caught a thief stealing items right off his front porch. A man took cushions off porch furniture in the Rockwood neighborhood, and it looks like he had some help. Police say generators and other equipment have been stolen from nearby homes.
Pretty stark video there. Well, a new study of eastern Kentucky workers says the labor force has declined by 20% over the last 10 years. That survey says many people have stopped looking for work because of a lack of professional certification and the struggling coal industry. That's holding them back. Researchers say creating tax-free zones and securing government contracts could help bring some new jobs to eastern Kentucky. Well, some teachers out in Washington State are seeing double.
They really are a lot. There are 13 sets of twins at Pinehurst Elementary School, and the school only holds about 440 children, so that's a big percentage. A few of those kids say being a twin can get old sometimes.
Terrible, horrible, because we have to get everything the same.
Horrible, terrible. I love it. More than half of the 13 sets are identical twins. Excuse me. Yeah.
And some aren't. So it's a pretty amazing story, really. We can imagine the teachers and the confusion.
Oh, poor things. I feel for them.
You got it. 6:06 our time. Let's check weather.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Things look pretty good early this morning. I don't see any issues whatsoever. If you're about to get on the roadways, it is very calm, very quiet. We have 0 reports for you as you're heading out the door. Once again, just another update. Today at 9 a.m., 2 lanes of I-75 southbound in Madison County, they will be closed at mile marker 84 and 85 in between there. That's just south of the eastern bypass. Roughly 2 hours is how long it'll take. Looks pretty good this morning. I don't see many issues whatsoever. We travel through your day, and the day's not going to be all that bad. I will tell you this, we get off into the evening and nighttime hours, that's going to be a different story. So the daylight hours, it looks dry, 90 degrees. Go off towards your evening and night, I would say anywhere from 7 p.m. at the very earliest to about 8 or 9 p.m. is when you start to see some storms spark up in the north, and then they'll slide southbound into the central zones later on tonight, which will give us a few rumbles of thunder as we're heading off to bed or already in bed. Rain chance, 8 p.m. to midnight. Here's the look. Now, this is just for today. Some will go off into the overnight hours, into the early morning hours, but 20% chance down just south of the I-64 corridor, but really it's 64 northbound. That's your best bet. I put it at 40%. Remember, this is not daylight hours. This is 8 p.m. to midnight, okay? So that's when a few of these storms will rush on in here. The best chance of rain comes on Saturday. Now, Friday, you'll still have a few rumbles of thunder to go through. Don't get me wrong, and a lot of events going on. Saturday is your better opportunity to see some rain slide on in. And it mainly, as of right now, the timing on this, because I know we have a lot of events. The Costa Superhero Run there at the Kentucky Horse Park, that's Saturday morning as of right now. That looks pretty good. It's really Saturday afternoon. You get some storms to roll on in. Could be some problems there for Oktoberfest at Christ the King here in Lexington. That fall blast slides on in here on your Sunday, and Sunday will feel really, really nice. Just tweet it to me. How cool is this picture that was sent on Twitter yesterday? A little golden nugget or a little spot, a hidden treasure there in Jackson County. You can see that that's from K. Howard BB, and that's Kyle Howard there in Southern Kentucky. How cool is that shot? Really, really nice. That is on Twitter, Micah Harris, WX. Here's your 7-day forecast, guys, like I was talking about today. It's mainly far northern Kentucky, just right around sunset is when we could see some storms pop up. Then they slide southbound. I'd say here in Lexington, if we do get those, Lexington I-64 corridor will be roughly 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, that time frame. So when we're asleep. Perfect timing, right?
Exactly.
Here we go.
Music to the ears.
That's right.
We'll see the EKU Pikeville ball game tonight.
And that should be
work
good to
out
go.
for that.
Yeah.
Okay, there at Roy Kidd Stadium. Time is 6:09, and it's good to have you along with us.
Each morning we bring you weather and traffic together.
Let's see what's going on out there right now as we check the roads for you. Here's, first of all, a look at the region. You see that icon right in the central part of Lexington. As we zoom in on that, we've learned that that has to do with an emergency road repair that is going on at 3rd Street between Chestnut Street and Ray Street. They're near the East End neighborhood. They're working in that area this morning, but hope to have that done by about 7:30.
Something to keep in mind this morning, and here is a look at the Lexington Fayette Urban County government's live drive camera. Everything seems to be moving very slowly. A nice shot of Harrodsburg and Corporation Drive.
Here we are early on your Thursday morning on WKYT with a lot more news coming right up. Hope you stay with us here. We'll tell you about this coming up.
Facing tough questions from veterans, how the 2016 presidential candidates made their case to be commander-in-chief.
And what NASA is hoping to learn by launching an ambitious billion-dollar rocket to try to chase down an asteroid.
Tucky Mornings start here. You're watching WKYT This Morning.
Welcome back to WKYT This Morning. The time now is 6:14 on your Thursday. The 2016 presidential candidates are back on the campaign trail just a day after making their cases to be commander-in-chief.
They almost came together, but not quite. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump took the same stage during last night's forum in New York, but at different times, and they both fielded some tough questions from veterans. Hannah Daniels has the latest on Campaign 2016.
The main thing is I have great judgment.
Donald Trump sought to win over voters, including servicemen and women, at an NBC News forum last night, maintaining he was against the war in Iraq.
I was totally against the war in Iraq.
And hinting at a private plan to defeat ISIS.
If I win, I don't want to broadcast to the enemy exactly what my plan is.
An absolute rock steadiness.
Hillary Clinton, who appeared...
Well, there's part of the story. As the day went along, Hillary Clinton explained her preparedness to be commander-in-chief, citing her experience. She also answered some questions about her time as Secretary of State and her use of personal email. She said to the crowd gathered that when it had to do with classified information, she tried to use a separate system. Today, Donald Trump will be heading to Cleveland, Ohio. He will be addressing education, and Hillary Clinton makes appearances in both North Carolina and in Missouri.
Now, this is an interesting story. Congress is still deadlocked over emergency funding in the fight against the Zika virus, and in a dramatic gesture, Florida Congressman David Jolly brought a canister of mosquitoes on the House floor to condemn the lack of action. Aerial spraying for mosquitoes scheduled for today over Miami Beach has been postponed until tomorrow amid public health concerns.
Well, that's attention-getting, but certainly it's frustrating up there for a lot of folks trying to get that passed, and the Zika measure still in limbo. Well, the U.S. Olympic Committee, along with USA Swimming, are expected to announce disciplinary measures against 4 Olympic swimmers. Some outlets report right now that 12-time Olympic medalist Ryan Lochte will get a 10-month suspension, while the other 3 swimmers will get less time. The development comes after the athletes lied over an incident at a gas station during the Rio Olympics. Yosemite National Park is getting bigger. The National Park Service says it is adding 400 acres of critical wetlands and meadow habitat on the park's western boundary. The Trust for Public Land donated the land to the park after purchasing it earlier this year from a private owner for $2.3 million. It is the biggest expansion to the park in 67 years. An out-of-this-world story now. Just a week after SpaceX exploded, NASA is preparing for another launch today. They're launching a robotic asteroid hunter to try to chase down the asteroid Bennu. The cost for the entire project is $1 billion. Scientists say the whole trip will take a couple of years.
We're going to spend a couple of years mapping it in great detail, first globally, so we can understand what areas of the asteroid are safe, and where is the most scientifically valuable material.
That launch is expected to take place at 7 o'clock tonight at Cape Canaveral.
Time now is 6:17 on your Thursday. Shares of Apple dropped slightly after the company unveiled its new iPhone 7 yesterday. The new water-resistant model has ditched the standard headphone jack for its own connecting system or wireless headphones. Apple also introduced a new version of its smartwatch with built-in GPS. The company's sales were down about 15% during the first 6 months of this year compared to the same time period last year. An unexpected winner in Apple's big announcement, Nintendo. Shares soared after news that Nintendo's popular Super Mario's is coming to the iPhone with a new Super Mario Run game. Also, Nintendo's Pokemon Go will be available for the Apple Watch. 7 in 10 Americans say they plan to work after retirement. Bankrate.com says about 38% report they'll work because they like to work. 33% said they plan to work because they'll need to work. U.S. job openings jumped to a record high last month. The Labor Department says American employers advertised 4% more openings in July, bringing the total to 5.87 million. Analysts say it's a sign hiring may stay healthy despite a slowdown last month. And finally, Dos Equis Beer has introduced the new most interesting man in the world. Check him out. He's 41-year-old Augustin Legrand from France. That's a good name. And he speaks Spanish and can split a coconut with his bare hands. He has some pretty big shoes to fill, though. 77-year-old Jonathan Goldsmith held the title for a decade. What do you think about that, Bill?
Well, in a very memorable way. So Goldsmith lives on in those memes.
Oh, yeah, always will.
No doubt about that one. But it'll be interesting. It sounds like the guy has some talents. Look there. He was smashing that coconut. Oh, we'll see how it all turns out. 6:19 on WKYT this morning. Good morning to you again. We're just getting started. All the latest. Beachgoers were left with an unforgettable sight. How this happened. It's coming up after the break.
We're seeing some storms on the way. We're going to be tracking those rain chances when they arrive, how that's going to affect your plans not only for today, but for your Friday and Saturday too. We're going to go over that coming up next.
Welcome back into WKYT this morning. Our time is 6:23. Coming up on that here on your Thursday.
Topping our news today, a tragic story. A pregnant woman and her unborn child have died after a shooting in Lexington.
That's what's trending at this hour here at WKYT News. The coroner has identified the victim this morning as 22-year-old Mariah Coleman of Lexington. Police say she was shot last night on Winburn Drive, and no arrests have been made at this point.
State police plan to close a 2-mile stretch of I-75 in Madison County today to investigate a deadly crash from last month. The left 2 lanes of I-75 South will be closed between mile markers 84 and 85 for about 2 hours.
All right, so heads up on that. And we anticipate we'll have some weather changes, but it'll be spotty. Here's Micah.
Yeah, and not everybody will see those, exactly like Bill was just saying. Here's the deal. Today we're staying dry. Off towards your evening and night, that's a different story. You see most of the thunderstorm activity is to the north of us, and most of it will stay north of us. Temperatures there in the 60s and 70s early this morning, not a big deal. And we look toward the roadways. Roadways look just fine. Don't forget mile marker 84 into 85, 2 lanes of I-75 southbound in Madison County. That's just south of the Eastern Bypass. Are going to be closed starting at 9 a.m., roughly 2-hour duration on that. So just keep that in mind from an investigation accident from the past couple of days. Skycast, we get into the 90s by the afternoon. There's late storms in the forecast. Don't get me wrong. Not everybody will see those, but they are going to be there. And all eyes on that weekend change because you get the storms Friday and Saturday. But then we start to see that front roll on through, and Sunday looks really good. I'm going to show you how you can plan around these storms for all these events. You got a lot of events and big events going on. That's coming up in your 7-day in just a few minutes.
Okay, see you then.
We've got some interesting stories for you coming up now. Florida police say a boater faces charges after crashing his 72-foot yacht into the shore off Palm Beach.
Quite a sight. It might make you blink when you see it. Look at that. Police say the drunken boater simply walked away from his fancy yacht after beaching it into the sandbar. Police were notified after a local couple discovered the vessel on their routine beach walk. Police charged the boat owner with DUI. Now his other problem is figuring out how in the world he's going to get that boat out of the water. So
remember, kids, boating and beer don't always mix.
They don't mix. Yeah, but you know, as we say in Kentucky, bless his heart for having
bless their heart.
Boat, right?
You know what that means.
Yeah, exactly. Big one, and he's got some issues now. All right, people walking along an Australian beach also stumbled onto something, an unusual sight.
Yeah, this is crazy. Experts say beachgoers stumbled on what they think to be dinosaur footprints that are 130 million years old. What? Paleontologists say the tracks have likely been hidden under the sand and surf, and they think they belong to a medium-sized carnivore. Can you imagine?
Wow.
They look fresh, you know what I mean? Like hidden under there.
Yeah, you might want to look around.
Oh, I know.
Look over your shoulder.
Terrify you right there.
That's interesting.
Pretty
All right.
cool.
Great discovery. Our time this morning, 6:26 on WKYT, and it's so good to have you with us, and we have a lot going on this morning.
We are tracking a developing story out of Fort Campbell where a helicopter has crashed.
The details just coming in on that. We'll have that for you in all of our top stories. Friday night's Mega Millions jackpot, $111 million. Saturday night's Powerball jackpot has now climbed to $205 million. Keep it here on WKYT.